So I will start. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
And the first thing I want to do is recognize everybody in this room for your contribution, for what you're doing to make the world a better place, and your stamina for being here still. So thank you very much.
Well, I'll second that. I'll second that. And, no, those are my long distance. I mean, I'm blind without my glasses, so it's a major event if I can't find them. So this conversation really is about, we've talked about paradigm shifts. We need a shift in consciousness. What is that? What does that really mean in your personal life and in the collective life of humanity? Because it's posited that if we don't achieve that, we're not going to achieve what we've been talking about here today. So the root of that is really understanding that we are all one. And that doesn't just mean all humanity is one. It means that everything is oneness consciousness. That's extremely important in what we are dealing with in climate change. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Some of you have probably heard this, some of you haven't. When I was 7 years old, I walked out of Sunday school. And I closed my Bible book and I told the teacher that it wasn't the truth, I wasn't coming back, and that was it. And I walked out. And of course they got my mother out of the congregation and she ran me down and she stopped me and she turned me around. And instead of talking down to me, she stooped down so her eyes were level with mine. And she said, "Well, I hear you said that your Sunday school teacher isn't telling the truth. Is that what you said?" "Yeah, that's what I said." "And you don't want to go back?" "No, I don't want to go back." "Well, if you don't want to be in Sunday school, where would you rather be?" And out of the mouths of babes, I'm not responsible for this, I said, "With God." And she stopped. And she just looked at me. And she said, "Well, where would that be?" And I said, "Over there." And over there was a big field with a brook tangling through the grasses and huge old trees and bugs and beetles and worms in the sand and raptors overhead and clouds, and I was totally in my cathedral. And there was one tree that I had a very special relationship with, and it was a she, it was a her, it was a female. I have no scientific proof, I just knew. And she had a cavity in her trunk that was just big enough for me to crawl in, and I would sleep every day in the summer inside of her. And one day I got this inspiration, I could hear her grow. Well, how was I going to do it? Well, put your ear next to her, on her skin. And I did that, and I swear I heard the sap inside of her. And all of a sudden, there was this impulse to meditate. I don't remember what the word was. I had no clue what meditation was. But it was to lean back against the tree with my spine straight, eyes closed, and just be. So I did it. And what happened was amazing, in that I saw when I opened my eyes, that everything was mixed in energy. There was no hard line between me and the tree, me and the grass, me and the brook. It was all a mixture of almost like a Monet painting. And I knew at that moment that I was one with everything. And we talked about today, you know, what I think we are in this consciousness evolution. We are nature remembering ourself. And I don't know if that's an original, I think maybe I heard that someplace, but it really resonates. So I'm not going to go beyond that. I have other things to say about, I think we're in consciousness chaos, and that's why we have chaos on the planet. And I can go further in that, but this gentleman has so much to share. You go ahead, please.
So I'm brought to tears with that. And I'm reminded in times like this that 90% of our communication happens without the verbal, which is quite humiliating and humbling when I'm on stage. But I think Sally pretty much said it all. So I'm going to tell you a story too. At this point, it's probably a bedtime story, so I hope nobody falls asleep. But I was at this silent retreat that called leaders of the world, which of course there are many, and I just happen to be one of those, and there's some other people in this room that I can see were there as well. And you picture these kind of A-type leaders, right? All brought together up into the Catskills or something like that up in New York. And none of us really know who is coming. And we got the list like the day before. So we could keep the ego out of the way. And we all show up, and we all sit in this circle of ceremony. And we are told that this, I think we're there for 5 days, maybe, something like that. The next 4 days, we're going to be in silence. So you can imagine these people flying in all over the world to be together with each other, and we're told we can't talk for 4 days. It's brilliant. And we would wake up early in the morning and have meditation, and then meditation, and then meditation, and then just be in silence and work with communication beyond our voice. And I don't know, maybe it was the 4th day in, 3rd day in, it doesn't really matter. We sat in circle, and there was this one person who all of a sudden started to do this. And then you know that deep kind of labored breathing? The kind of, oh shit, somebody's really in medical trouble. If you've ever heard that before, you know what it is. And because we were an evolved group of people, it wasn't like this rescuing mentality where everybody ran up, but just quite naturally, you know, there was a doctor there. I went up, and there was a couple other people that went up, and I'm telling you, this person was out. Like gone. And so I'm sitting there thinking, you know, the doctor's tapping her leg, and I'm thinking, oh boy, okay, of course they've already called 911. I got my 5-minute signal, so I'll make my story short. Turns out this person comes back. And all of a sudden comes back to consciousness. And the ambulance came, the EMTs came, and this person quickly realized after time that this was just an event, it wasn't an illness, and it was doing their best to communicate to the medical community that everything was all right. And so I walked this person back and I said, with a little wink, listen, I know you went somewhere, and I want to hear the story. The next day, that person, we sat in circle, we broke the silence. And that person came to us in tears, with full emotion, and we're all coming out of silence. And you can imagine, I mean, really amazing leaders from around the world. And this person says, I got a message that I would like to share with everybody. And that message was this: never, ever turn your back on your true nature. Never, ever turn your back on your true nature. This person had such intense spiritual practice and commitment and skills that this person took off, had a little chat with God, and came back and gave us a message about how we're all here for a reason. And that's not some new age prophecy that's been made up in some recent book. And that person, Sally, I told her I was going to embarrass her tonight. And so this is your leader, and I am so proud to be here with you as you've led this amazing group of people that I've had the chance to get to meet, who are doing incredible things in the world and bringing your core purpose of why you're here on this earth and aligning your being and your doing to make the world a better place.
Well, it was an out-of-body experience.
That's an understatement.
There's no question about that. But what I want to say, I think about that and about other things, is that we all have an original, what I call an original knowledge. And it is suppressed, polluted by education, by our exposures, by parents that don't understand that, by all kinds of things. But we all have that, what I call original knowledge. We know what our relationship is with each other, with the planet, with every other species, with water. We know that intuitively. It's in our DNA, our original DNA. But we've forgotten it. And it's polluted. So when you go back and you look at, so I see consciousness chaos, which is reflected in the world of chaos. And if we're going to get out of that, we have to let go of the tenets of this paradigm that we have believed in, we have envisioned, we have acted out in for centuries. We have been hypnotized for centuries by this. And that's scarcity. Separation, I talked about it the other day. The ultimate existential threat to humanity is believing in separation, that we are not one with everything. There is one consciousness. We are individuated, differentiated consciousnesses, and so that separates us because we haven't learned yet how to go to that oneness place. In that, when you believe in scarcity, when you believe in separateness, when you believe in competition, guess what you get? You get separation, competition, you get war, you get terrorism, you get fundamentalism, you get hoarding, you get war against women, violence against women, violence against the planet. You know, it's all one consciousness. And then your narrative supports that because we create our reality. So we couldn't get anything different than what we have. Now, the quintessential question is, did we do this on purpose? So that we could take a big leap in our consciousness. Now, I don't pretend to have the answer to that, but just posit this for a moment. So we change that narrative to love, kindness, respect. Instead of depleting, we restore. Instead of destroying, we birth. And that changes how we look at the world. We create our own reality. So chaotic consciousness creates chaos in the world. So we have to let go of those tenets, those false assumptions as to how the world works. We replace them with new assumptions and a new narrative and a new belief system, and guess what? We will manifest that. Because that's how the universe works. And then in doing that, your original knowledge, your original wisdom, which many indigenous have kept because they have oral stories and they have ceremonies, that comes back to you. And then your actions, your behavior reflects that. So I just want to submit to all of you, and I'm getting the I just want to submit to all of you to think about your narrative and what you believe in and changing that. And it's not easy. It's a courageous navigation of going into those old assumptions, myself included, because we believe in these certain things and we've been hypnotized for centuries. So I hope that sharing the story and sharing this has been helpful. Thank you.